Well, I accidentally bought 10 free FR36s, and now I have a garage full of cars that I don't want that I have to get rid of somehow. Well, lucky for me, I can sell free vehicles within Los Santos Customs, but that wasn't always the case. It only became possible in October of 2016 after the Bikers DLC came out, meaning that if you got a vehicle for free or it was gifted to you, you were stuck with it. There was no way to get rid of it for at least 2 years of the game. And if you played GTA 5 Online back when it first came out, you might recall that the rides at Del Perro, including the Rollercoaster and Ferris wheel, were actually inoperable in online. So despite being able to ride them in story mode, the option didn't come to online until the Independence Day special in July of 2014, roughly half a year after the initial release of online. But these are just two of the many updates that changed the game for the better over the years. And in the last video, we covered a lot of more recent updates. But today, we're going to cover updates that took place in the first few years of GTA Online's lifespan. Another change that many new players think has been in the game since day one is the option to open any doors on your vehicle or turn on its engine and headlights via the interaction menu. But for those of us who played in the first year of the game, this came with the Lowriders DLC in October of 2015, adding the option to open any door on the vehicle or switch on the engine, neon lights, headlights, or radio via the interaction menu, which was huge for car meets and showing off your customization. Now, aside from being used in some funny moments or some really unique PvP situations, the ability to throw sticky bombs on other players or NPCs wasn't always a feature in the game. Similar to the rides on Del Perro, this was added with the Independence Day special back in July of 2014, and led to some pretty iconic clips from the Vanoss gang.
There we go! Yeah! Oh shit, I blew up my own car.
One of my favorite overlooked updates back in 2016 came with the Bikers DLC, which added the ability for you to attack from a motorcycle. This included with melee weapons such as the pipe wrench or just kicking with your feet. And some players today still don't even know that this is something you can do. And it can lead to some pretty funny and iconic moments as well. Players today also don't know the struggle of having an absolutely hideous character model. When the game first came out and you created your GTA Online character, whatever you ended up deciding is what you were stuck with. So if you were in a hurry to get into the game and just slapped together a character and it looked ugly as fuck, you were stuck with it. There was no way to change your character or modify its facial structure. Luckily, since then, plastic surgery has been added, and you can now change your character's base look and facial shape by paying $100,000 in the interaction menu. And what I just recently learned is that you can go in and look at the different models without actually having to spend the money. If you don't change anything and you exit, you will not be charged the 100 grand. Prior to the San Andreas Flight School update in August of 2014, while flying vehicles like the Buzzard, Laser, Savage, Hydra, or other vehicles that had homing and non-homing missiles, you were unable to switch between the homing and non-homing options. But after this update, they finally added the option to switch between the two, allowing you to have a bit more freedom about where you are firing your missiles. Getting into a Police Riot van actually allows you to get full armor for absolutely free. And in the early days of online, this was an ideal way of refilling your armor without going to ammunition. However, it was easier said than done, because prior to the Last Team Standing DLC in October of 2014, Police Riot vans would only show up if you had 4 stars, and didn't spawn at any of the police stations around San Andreas. But this was changed that October when they had spawn points added to many of the police stations around the map. Nowadays, people just carry multiple sets of armor because, well, you can do that now. One thing that I'm extremely excited about for GTA 6 is the addition of new traffic vehicles. More vehicles just spawning on the road, because GTA 5's traffic has never changed. Or has it? To start, the Baddie 801RR was removed from traffic spawns. Many people never noticed because the regular Baddie 801 still spawns in traffic, and people just never noticed the difference. This was just one of a few traffic changes that took place in 2014 and 2015 when the expanded and enhanced edition came out for what's now considered old-gen consoles. The ASIA was the only 2013 car that was added after the fact during this time. This was added alongside prior DLC cars including the Pagali, Panto, Glendale, Warner, Rhapsody, Massacro, Alpha, Jester, Thrust, and the Huntley S. The Rockstar editor has been an amazing tool for me and many other creators, allowing you to change the camera angles and get unique footage that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get. However, the Rockstar editor was originally only available on PC, though it was introduced to consoles in November of 2014 with the Enhanced Edition coming to Xbox One and PlayStation 4. Ignore all this footage of feet that I'm getting, we'll touch on that later in the video. Now over the years we've seen a lot of changes to the game modes within GTA and the free roam activities, but there were actually some that were added with the Heist DLC that have since been removed. So only people who played between March 2015 and December of 2021 would actually remember these game modes. Starting off, we had the free roam activity Destroy Vehicle Target, which required the player to destroy a vehicle belonging to Gerald's rivals in the drug trade. You'd start by getting a notification with a red icon on your map. Sometimes the vehicle would spawn stationary or driving and enemies would open fire if they got provoked, and all you'd have to do is simply destroy the vehicle. The next free mode activity was Distracting the Cops, which was a request you'd get from Lester so his other associates could complete their crimes. This game mode could spawn in 10 different locations, and upon entering the purple zone, you would receive an automatic wanted level, and would have to keep that wanted level until the end of a 5-minute timer. However, it wasn't that simple, as your wanted level would increase as the time goes on, meaning at the end, you would always have a 5-star wanted level. Upon completion, players would be awarded $10,000. The last of the 3 free roam activities that came in March of 2015 was Aircraft Takedown, where Trevor would call you and request that you take down an aircraft of an enemy smuggler. This aircraft could be shot down in the sky by another flying vehicle or from the ground, which was a lot more difficult back in the day when we didn't have things like railguns or homing launchers. That being said, the first takedown you completed would reward you $3,000, and every subsequent takedown after that would increase the payout by that same amount, to a maximum of $30,000 for the 10th aircraft you destroyed. Once again, if the takedown was witnessed, you would receive a 2 to 3 star wanted level and would have to lose it after the activity had ended. 3 more free mode activities were added in September that same year, and these were much more well known despite not being in the game nearly as long. Crate drops were an easy way to get rewards or rare clothing items. A plane would spawn in the sky and simply drop this crate, and the first person to get to it would get all of the contents. This is very similar to how supply drops work in many Battle Royale games such as PUBG or Fortnite. Despite this activity also disappearing in December of 2021, it did make a brief return during the San Andreas Mercenaries DLC, but has since been removed once again. An even more iconic random activity that came at the same time was the addition of armored trucks. Now, OG or not, everyone knows what I'm talking about. These armored trucks would spawn around the map, and a simple sticky bomb to the back door would reveal a whole bunch of cash bags all around the vehicle. Now sure, you'd have to shoot the driver and passenger as they got out, but you'd get a fair amount of cash for back in the day. Once again, these were removed in December of 2021. These armored trucks returned to the game once again in a slightly different format and can be seen today. The last free mode activity we're going to talk about today is the Lester Kill Target activity, where Lester would contact you and request that you assassinate a specific target at a specific point on the map. Now, if this sounds familiar, it's because despite this mode being disabled in December of 2021, a very similar free mode activity called Madrazo's Hits was added more recently, and is basically just a recreation of Lester's Kill Target. Pegasus vehicles have been in the game since day one. But back at the start, it cost $1,000 every single time you'd request a Pegasus vehicle. When the first GTA Online DLC, the Beach Bum DLC, released in 2014, this was reduced to $200, and has since been reduced even further for some vehicles. However, another annoying part about Pegasus back in the day was the fact that if you wanted to call a new Pegasus vehicle, you would have to destroy your current Pegasus vehicle in order to request a new one. After the Lowriders DLC in October of 2015, Pegasus will just replace the existing vehicle, saving you a little bit of time if you wanted to switch out to another vehicle.
Thank you, sir. It's now waiting for you at our nearest harbor.
Now, I'm not sure if someone donated an absurd amount of money to Rockstar or if one of the devs just had a really severe foot fetish. But in December of 2015, with the Executive and Other Criminals DLC, the ability to wear no shoes was added to the game. So you could make an outfit with bare feet. I'm not sure why this wasn't in the game from the start, or why they decided to add it at that point, but hey, it's a possibility now. Some might say that it was a lot easier to troll people in the game once PC was available to modders. However, prior to part 1 of the Ill-Gotten Gains DLC in June of 2015, it was actually possible to pick up cars of players that were in passive mode using the cargo bob, which basically defeated the point of passive mode, as someone could just pick you up and fly you to the ocean. Luckily, that's been changed and can no longer be a problem for anyone playing the game. When the game first came out and you did races with other players in online, you might not think that anything was that different. However, the ability to spectate other racers until the race ends was only added in August of 2014 with the San Andreas Flight School update. And to be honest, I can't remember what happened prior to this update. Does anyone remember what exactly happened when you had to spectate, but that wasn't an option? What did we do? Was it just a black screen? Because I don't know. Another minor map update that many people forgot about, as it's also been removed, was with the Import-Export DLC in December of 2016. There were 9 vehicle warehouses added to the map, but there was almost 10 of them. The reason we knew about this secret 10th vehicle warehouse that never hit the market was because when you drive a vehicle up to a vehicle warehouse, it gives you this message. And once you drove up to this garage door in the center of the city, it gave you that exact same message, despite the fact that this was never purchasable as a vehicle warehouse. However, this has since been corrected, so this message no longer pulls up. So there you have it, 25 forgotten updates that only actual OGs knew about. If you want to hear what some of the updates came to the game in the later years of online, check out this video. But in the meantime, thank you all for watching.